Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and it's time for a game of throws again. Honestly, I'm never going to run out of material for this particular video series. But today's battle, as well as being incredibly close, is also a little bit different, and you'll see why at the end. In the meantime, say hello to the star of today's show, Fat Penguin, in the French Tier 8 extremely heavy cruiser, the Cherbourg. Question time. If you were asked to write down a list of the best Tier 8 cruisers in World of Warships, what would be on your list? We're probably looking at ships like the USS Cleveland, HMS Edinburgh, ships like that. I think it's probably safe to assume that the Cherbourg wouldn't be anywhere near the top of the list. In fact, it might not even be on the list at all. The Cherbourg is basically a Tier 8 cruiser version of the French Tier 6 battleship, the Dunkirk, except not as good. And it's not as good in a number of ways. First, protection. Obviously it's a cruiser, so it's not going to be as well armoured as the Dunkirk, even though the Dunkirk is a whole 2 tiers lower. The bows of the Cherbourg can be overmatched by armour-piercing shells, 15 inches in calibre or higher. So the usual tactic in ships with this kind of gun layout, and the Dunkirk is the same, 2 quad turrets, both located at the front of the ship, is to go bow in, but that can have catastrophic consequences if you do that in the Cherbourg and there are battleships shooting at you. So the preferred tactic is to angle slightly and invite those shots to ricochet harmlessly off your belt armour, but that's where the Cherbourg runs into another problem, because the upper belt on this ship is so ridiculously thin that it can be overmatched by armour-piercing shells of 16 inches calibre or higher. And at Tier 8, and this is a Tier 9 battle by the way, so it's even worse, but there are a lot of battleships armed with 16-inch guns around. So the protection, while it's good for a cruiser, it's definitely not good enough, and can get you into a lot of trouble unless you're very, very careful. But let's talk about the guns, because that's kind of the main selling point of the Cherbourg. It's a cruiser armed with 8 305mm guns, and those are large caliber guns for a cruiser. But again, drawing comparisons with the Dunkirk, which again I'll remind you is 2 tiers lower, the Dunkirk's guns are not only larger caliber at 330mm, but they also load faster and they have better range. Yeah. The thing is, the Cherbourg's not a bad ship. It's just that there's nothing particularly good about it. Well, that's not entirely true. It's actually rather compact. It's not that big a target. And it is fast. It has a top speed of nearly 32 knots, and it has an engine boost, and with that running, it can get up to nearly 40 knots. It also has a very tight turning circle. And that's probably the best thing about this ship, but, well, that's not the sort of thing that's easy to take advantage of. So it's difficult to do well in the Cherbourg, unless you are very good and you know what you're doing. Somebody on the team who does not appear to know what they're doing is the Sovietsky Soyuz up there, who, well, he's backing off now. I think he's just realised exactly how much trouble he's landed himself in by charging headlong straight into that lot over there. Although he's given as good as he gets, he's managed to land some decent damage on the enemy Massachusetts. And if you are going to go for it in a battleship, the Sovietsky Soyuz isn't a bad choice, because it is a tough ship, but that is a lot of firepower heading back in his direction. Thing is, he's not entirely without support over here. As well as Fat Penguin himself in the Cherbourg, there's the Dutch Tier 8 light cruiser, the Admiral, slightly off the left of the screen. And there's there it is. That's a broadside bitch slapping from the Minnesota, finishing off the Massachusetts. So the Sovietsky Soyuz is receiving support. It's just that he's entirely oblivious to it. And that, by the way, that's the first 2 casualties, and a momentary 150-point lead by Fat Penguin's team. And then the Sovietsky Soyuz dies, followed almost immediately by the friendly Neustrashimy. The Sovietsky Soyuz complaining in chat, of course, that he had no help. He did. He was just completely oblivious to it. But it's always easier to just blame your teammates, isn't it? I mean, sometimes it is actually a teammate's fault, but I don't think that was the case here. Nevertheless, Penguins' team are still ahead. Not by much. I mean, there's only 20 points in it. Both teams have 2 kills and 1 cap circle each. Cap circle Charlie, still unclaimed. The immediate situation as far as Fat Penguin is concerned, however, is still kind of bad. Because with the demise of the Sovietsky Soyuz, that's an awful lot of enemy ships, including at least 1 battleship, the Prinz Ruprecht, who now have nothing but a pair of cruisers to shoot at. And as we all know, cruisers, crunchy on the outside and extremely chewy on the inside. So there goes the engine boost, and that is a respectable turn of speed. He's up to 35 knots and he's still accelerating. And he's trying to get up to that island and then get himself turned around. Unfortunately, the wreck of the Sovietsky Soyuz means that he has to leave it just a little bit late before he starts making this turn. And now he's had his steering done in. And it happened at the very worst possible time. Oh yeah, here it comes from the Prince. Yeah, that hurt. Really, really hurt. There goes the repair party. The team have just lost their second destroyer, by the way. The Lightning joins the Neustrashimi. They now only have 1 destroyer left, as both Fat Penguin and the Admiral make Billy Big steps in an effort to get the hell out of there. Now, this is where the unusual all-forward gun layout of the Cherbourg ends up being a bit of a mixed blessing, because with all of the guns at the front of the ship, he can't fire back at the enemy ships raining down death and destruction on him. But it also means he can't fire back at the enemy ships raining down death and destruction on him. So if he can just stay alive for a few seconds more, he'll get out of detection range and will not stay detected because he's been firing his guns. You can see he's thinking about it. Don't do it, Fat Penguin. There you go. You are now undetected. You have survived, but only just. Praying that that final salvo from the Bayard didn't hit, shave off further health, but even worse, set him on fire again, because ships that are burning have increased detection radius. But it's all good. It's fine. Well, it's not fine. He's got no health left, but he's at least still alive. As is the Admiral, slightly over to the left of the screen, who is still fighting, and it looks like winning, a duel against the Prinz Ruprecht. This does, of course, mean that all of those enemy ships now have nothing better to shoot at than the Admiral, and it is just a light cruiser, so it would be kind of rude to let him fight alone. So Fat Penguin swings the guns around, unleashes a salvo against the Albemarle rather than the Prinz Ruprecht, which has the potential of getting more damage done, even though it doesn't. And the Admiral takes out the Prinz Ruprecht with an expertly aimed airstrike. There goes a second salvo against the Albemarle, which is going to do better than the first, but the bad news is, of course, that he has, of course, once again gotten spotted. And based on the fact that everybody over there instantly switched fire to Fat Penguin rather than continuing to concentrate the Admiral, tells us the Admiral's actually probably doing quite well and still has almost all of his health. This is not something that can be said of Fat Penguin or the last remaining destroyer on the team. The split has just been sunk by the enemy Akazuki. The enemy team are 1 kill up. They have 2 cap circles to Fat Penguin's team's none, which gives them an almost 100-point lead, which is extended when the friendly Baltimore goes down. But this final salvo against the Albemarle is good. There's Fat Penguin's first kill. Enemy team are still nearly 100 points ahead, though. It's just a cruiser-for-cruiser exchange. But things are going to get worse before they start getting any better. And I'm not just talking about the Bayard continuing to focus Fat Penguin down. The friendly Bismarck, even though we can't see it happening, is in a lot of trouble and just got burned down by the enemy Fantask. And the enemy team are now flipping the third and final cap circle with a more than 200-point lead. The Bayard, however, really doesn't know when to quit. Much like the Cherbourg, that is an extremely fast cruiser. It's actually faster than the Cherbourg. It has a top speed of 34 knots and also comes with an engine boost. So it should easily be able to disengage, go undetected, and retire to the north. And yet, I mean, look at how much health the Admiral has. And he's still shooting. I mean, you know, fill your boots, sunshine. It is your funeral. If this is the hill that you want to die on, I'm sure Fat Penguin and Hello Chat in the Admiral are entirely happy to oblige. So, a badly needed kill, given that the enemy are ahead on points, caps and kills, which makes no difference whatsoever as the enemy team respond by immediately sinking the friendly Indianapolis. And if I can draw your attention to the mini-map for a second, it's really difficult to see how the team are going to be able to come back from this. There is a potential possibility that they might be able to take the cap circle at Alpha, but there's no way they're getting anywhere near Bravo or Charlie. The entire team has basically just been herded, and there's not that many of them left, by the way, there's only 5 of them. They've all been herded down at this bottom southwest corner of the map, which is really bad news because it means crossfires can start to happen. Doesn't matter which way you angle or what you angle against, not that the Cherbourg is that good at angling against much of anything, particularly not battleship caliber guns. But you angle against one threat from one direction, you're just giving broadside to another threat in the other direction. It's here where teams start to crumble. Although you could argue, and you might not be wrong, that that ship sailed quite some time ago as far as Fat Penguin's team are concerned. That's a 400-point lead now, by the way. All 3 of the cap circles. Might be able to finish off this Lion, though. And, well, it certainly looks like... Is this the Minnesota getting his second kill? It is. You know, I don't think the Minnesota's a particularly good ship. But its guns do pack a punch. It's like the Minnesota is the polar opposite of something like the Gneisenau, which is a great ship. I know, hear me out, I'm not finished. But the thing is, wow, the Kansas just killed something. Is it allowed to do that? Do we need to stop the game and check with the developers all of a sudden? Because that, wow, I can't remember ever seeing that happen before. Anyway, the Gneisenau is a good ship. It's fast, it's well armoured, it's got good secondaries, it's got a decent range of consumables. It's just that the guns are complete dog shit. Whereas the Minnesota is a terrible ship, but it's got fantastic guns. And I'll take a bad ship with good guns over a good ship with bad guns any day of the week. It doesn't explain why the Kansas was able to sink something, though, because the Kansas is a bad ship with bad guns. But I guess even a broken clock tells the right time twice a day. That's bought the team some time, though, so good job, Kansas, I guess. Oh, hello. Is that a cruiser giving broadside? Oh, we just got smacked by something. I think this could be another kill. If these are on target, this is definitely going to be well, they're on target, but it's not a kill. Oh, well, never mind. Still 2 enemy destroyers up, though. Fat Penguin's head on a swivel here. Trying to check the angles and figure out where the threat's coming from. That Vladivostok could be a big issue. I mean, he's gone undetected, so he knows there's no destroyers spotting him. He might be able to surprise the Vladivostok as he comes around the side of the island here. Yes, there was a smoke screen. Oh, the Kansas has gone down. The enemy team are 500 points ahead. He is flipping this cap now, though, which might be bad news if the Vladivostok is paying attention. Please, Vladivostok, don't be paying attention. Oh, the Vladivostok is paying attention. Oh, this could be very, very, very bad. He landed a decent hit, though, but it wasn't enough. Oh, here it comes. This is going to hurt. Yeah, that hurt. Not as much as it could have, though. Admiral coming in again with another airstrike. And it's good. There goes the Vladivostok. Fat Penguin could be in a lot of trouble here, though. I mean, it looks like he's managed to dodge the Jutland's torpedoes. Oh, there's a potential kill here now. Yeah, that is a smokescreen up ahead. That is the Akazuki. Okay, he didn't get the Ignacio Allende. The Admiral took him out right after finishing off the Vladivostok. And as quickly as that, they actually now have a 1-kill lead over the enemy team. I mean, they're still 400 points behind. And the enemy team are about to reach 900 points with a 2-cap advantage. However, regarding that smokescreen, that is the Akazuki's smokescreen. But the fact that Fat Penguin is still detected, and it's not the Jutland, because the Jutland just ducked into its own smokescreen behind the island over there. There he is. That means the Akazuki has left that smokescreen and is keeping him spotted, which is a smart move on the behalf of the Akazuki. Now, the Akazuki does only have 1 torpedo launcher, and that's going to be a threat. But it's probably more of a threat for the Minnesota than for Fat Penguin because, well, the Minnesota is a very big, fat and slow target, and the Cherbourg is a very fast, not that big, and fast-turning target. So the Minnesota is significantly easier to hit with torpedoes. So Fat Penguin probably doesn't have to worry about any torpedoes from the Akazuki, at least not right now. And the Admiral has managed to kill the Jutland. There are now just 2 enemy ships left. They do still have a 400-point lead, though. They're at 937 points, which means they're about 40 seconds away from winning with 2 cap circles. So why is the Amagi continuing to attack? Oh, he's changed his mind now. But too little, too late. For those of you who weren't paying attention to the minimap, when the Amagi's team had a 500-point 3 cap and 1 kill lead, he made the decision to come all the way from the other end of the map to just die here. To a degree, it's kind of excusable, because at the point where he realised he needed to get out of here, it was too late. I mean, the Amagi's a fast battleship. It's got the speed, but it doesn't have the concealment. The Jutland has no such excuse. He continued to attack, and he did have the speed and the concealment. But despite both of their valiant attempts to throw this match, the enemy team are still on 954 points, with 1 cap circle. The only reason they haven't already won, as Fat Penguin nervously checks the gap to the north, I think he's expecting Akazuki torpedoes from over there, but he did just go undetected, which means if the Akazuki was up there, it would still be able to see him. There goes the hydro, just in case. But the only reason the enemy team have not still won at 969 points is because Fat Penguin took the cap circle at Bravo. And with that engine boost running, he now needs to take the cap circle at Charlie as well. 978 points. And there it is, cap circle contested. Here's the problem. In order to absolutely 100% guaranteed win this match, they really need to find and kill that Akazuki. And that Akazuki don't want to be found, and it definitely don't want to be killed. And it's an Akazuki. The 4 surviving ships on Fat Penguin's team, himself included, of course, are all battleships and cruisers. If the Akazuki doesn't want to be found, they ain't going to find him. You could see there in chat, they're all saying, okay, I'm detected. I've just gone undetected. They're trying to figure out, based on when they get spotted and unspotted, exactly where this Akazuki is. Fat Penguin's slowing down here, as advised by another member of his team, but he was aware. He absolutely, definitely does not want to slip out of this cap circle and reset it, because they now have slightly more than 2 minutes to make up a 250-point lead on points alone. The Akazuki's got no more points coming in. But with 2 minutes and 12 seconds left, can they make up the points difference just from the cap circles? Don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's really hard to say. Looking at it from the other perspective, does the Akazuki need to kill one of them in order to win? Again, don't know. It's just too close to tell. He could certainly try slipping into one of the cap circles, just contesting one of the caps and slowing down the number of points that Fat Penguin's team have coming in would probably be enough to ensure the Akazuki's victory. Which is why the team are spreading out around the cap circles to ensure that he can't do that. You'll also notice they keep firing their guns. They keep launching depth charge attack aircraft and strike drops. Not because they know where the Akazuki is, but they're looking for Tracer to see if the Akazuki's forgotten to turn his AA guns off and is going to shoot at the aircraft, and they can pinpoint his location that way. Or whether or not when they fire their guns and their detection radius increases, does that get them spotted? But the Akazuki ain't falling for those old gags. He's not giving them anything. And it's still impossible to tell which way this match is going to go. 978 points to 888 with less than 1 minute to go. Fat Penguin's team need to make up 78 points in the next 46 seconds with 3 cap circles. And I just can't tell whether or not it can be done. They're certainly not getting any help from the Akazuki. They've guessed where he probably is, this island up here to the north, because Nobody's getting spotted. And it would be unwise in the extreme to go up there and check, because you'd probably just run face first into a bunch of torpedoes and the Akazuki would definitely win. Even killing a cruiser would definitely get him way more than the 28 points that is all the Akazuki needs for a win. Oh, it's going to be really close. There it is. 3 points ahead with 4 seconds to go. And they ended up with 990 points when the timer reached 0. That was just way too close to predict. And it certainly wasn't the Akazuki's fault. He was smart enough to know when he was winning and did not feel the urge to win any harder than he needed to. Something that cannot be said of 2 of his teammates. Arguably the Amagi, although he had the excuse of being in a battleship and significantly harder for him to disengage. The Jutland, however, no such excuses. But impossible to tell which way that one was going to go until the literal last seconds of the battle. It ended up being a win for Fat Penguin and his team. A big shout out to Hello Chat in the Admiral, a ship I've never actually seen before. In fact, it's so new it's not even on the World of Warships wiki yet. But definitely a great team effort from all of the surviving members of Fat Penguin's team. Not just him and the Admiral, but the Minnesota and the Hawk too. And commiserations to that Akazuki. He didn't do anything wrong. He had a 500-point lead at one point. He did nothing wrong. But, well, you can't pick your teammates, can you? Oh, well. Better luck next time. And that's it for today. I hope it kept you on the edge of your seats. I hope it entertained you. And as always, take care. And I'll catch you next time.